This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Introducing Virtuo Up, the latest in a long line of innovation from Nespresso. It's innovation you can touch, sense, and taste in every single cup. With a 3-second start, easy open lever, and dedicated brew over ice button, it's even easier to enjoy your coffee your way. Sip for yourself. Shop Virtuo Up exclusively at Nespresso.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Spring is here, and there's a whole new way to chai at Starbucks that's made perfect for you. Choose your sweetness, dial it up, or keep things light. Add a touch of pistachio, a hint of strawberry, or vanilla, or make it a spring classic with lavender. Because this season, there's endless ways to chai at Starbucks.
I'm RJ Decker, a private investigator, uncovering the Sunshine State's darkest secrets.
Tuesdays, it's the premiere of ABC's hottest new crime show.
RJ freaking Decker, as I live and breathe.
He's a private eye.
It's not a standard murder, it's something bigger.
And a public mass.
Trying to get sent back to prison today?
You go to prison one time and suddenly it's all the jokes.
RJ Decker, series premiere, Tuesdays on ABC and stream on Hulu.
He's back. He's back, Mike. All the reports today, Jason Tatum is questionable, which means he's going to be playing tomorrow night against the Dallas Mavericks. This is Hard Follow. I'm Jim Quigley with my brother Mike, and we're brought to you by the what?
The Fanfare Sports Network, bitch.
That's right, Mike. Jason Tatum, it's kind of anticlimactic in some ways because it felt like this is where this has been going all week. Bill Simmons reported it earlier in the week that this is what he was hearing. You had this major push from his documentary where 4 of the 5 episodes seem to be released all this week. And here we are. He'll be returning tomorrow night. What's your initial thoughts?
I'm excited to see him play. I'm interested to see how he's used and who gets impacted positively and who has to take a back seat and has a negative impact on their playing time. So I'm excited for him, and they need him. They definitely need him against quality opponents because he's Jason Tatum, and these guys just aren't good enough to compete for a championship without him. So I'm really excited to have him back.
I am too. And I'm really curious the way this is going to look as well, because he has said some things too, released in this documentary. One of them is like, I don't want to come back and not be myself. I'm not interested in coming back 85, 90%. So I'm wondering, in his mind, how close does he really think he is? And how close is he? And there's obviously the ramping up part to get into shape. And 20 games left of NBA season, and he's going to have to, ease into that a bit. But physically, I tend to think he's probably not coming back here unless he is 100%. There's the other elements that we've spent so much time talking about, but I think like from just physically speaking, I think he's going to look fine. I don't have any worries about that. How they incorporate him, definitely interesting. I used to think he was going to come off the bench. I don't think so at all. I think he's going to announce into that starting lineup tomorrow night, and they'll manage his minutes from there. I expect probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 25. This is just my speculation of minutes from him tomorrow night, and then a slow ramp up between now and the playoffs. Um, who I don't know if that's something you agree with, Mike, and also who do you think, you say who's going to be positively impacted, negatively impacted. Um, let's talk about that, and let's just also talk about how special tomorrow night at the Garden's going to be.
Yeah, I think, to your first question, it really depends on what that starting lineup looks like. I think that Shireman has shown that as a starter, he's very effective. And
Hmm.
as a bench player, I don't think he is as effective. And so I would supplant Sam Hauser into a bench role because he's shown that he can do both. And I would keep Shireman in that starting lineup. And that really makes things interesting because you got, four guys who are pretty good with the basketball if you do that. Um, but they may want the shooting with Hauser. I do think that would limit what Shireman can give you, and I wouldn't want to limit that because of the defensive end and the offensive rebounding that he'll provide and the passing that he'll provide for Tatum. So we'll see. That's the one guy I was thinking of that it could have a negative impact on Shireman depending on how they roll it out. And I think a guy who could have a positive impact from this the most is Jaylen Brown because I think he's looked a little rusty and a little tired at times. And this is going to take some of the responsibility out of his hands as the Celtics get closer to the playoffs, which I think is good for him for these last 20 games.
Yeah, I think Shireman, I think he stays in the starting lineup for the things you outlined. He's also can play out of that corner, which is something that Holiday and White did a lot of when, in this old rendition of the Celtics with Tatum. And so you have that guy that's very comfortable with the corner crashes, can, drive out of the corner, obviously very comfortable with the catch and shoot out of that corner, and does provide a little bit of playmaking. Hauser has the experience coming in off the bench, knows how to incorporate himself well there. Obviously, Tatum plays a lot with that second unit. To me, that is going to be interesting to see a second unit of Tatum, Vucevic, Pritchard, and Hauser, and probably one of the starters. That's that's some fun to think about a little bit, I think, as well. The type of offense you could run out of that and the looks that these guys are going to get. I think it's going to really help Peyton Pritchard and take some pressure off of him, just from a ball handling point of view. And the defensive emphasis on Pritchard is going to be a bit different now, when he's out there with units that, at times will include both Brown and Tatum. He's going to be a
I think
beneficiary of that big time.
I, I think no matter what, Joe's going to find minutes for Hugo, like he can't.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to.
And I think there's going to be plenty of those opportunities between now and the end of the year because I don't think Tatum's going to play in every game. I
No,
think you're
he's
going to see
not.
some rest time for guys like Jaylen Brown and things like that too.
Um, yeah, it's great. I mean, they're getting this guy back. I'm really excited to see him play. I'm really excited to see what the offense looks like with him back in there, especially in close games against really, really good opponents.
Yeah, and it gives them that extra playmaker. He is coming back to the belly of the beast with the schedule that they have coming up, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But that that playmaking um, is really going to be a dramatic upgrade for these Celtics, because that's where I think they've been really limited at times. There's been, once you get beyond Jaylen Brown,
Last
Derek
night
White,
was a good
yeah, you
example.
saw it last night. It was a good example. And the offense breaks down. I mean, there was a lot of things that went wrong last night, and I thought they were outplayed, and the other team played harder than them. And they were late to make adjustments, and we could get into that all in a minute. But it's also nice when those things happen to just have guys that can make plays. And you can see those bigger defenders, how they affect Pritchard at times. Shyman's an okay playmaker, but he's not great. Derek White's good, but he looks all that much better with Tatum in there because it's one less step down defender on him. So it's huge. It's huge for those reasons for sure. Of course defensively, it's you can play Tatum on fives and his ability to switch, and he's excellent there. But to your point with Hugo, yeah, the way the kid's been playing, you got to find the minutes. I think those minutes will be there for him. In the postseason, maybe not as much, but for now, I think there'll be plenty of opportunities for a guy like Hugo.
When you want your spring break to feel like and your kids' pool day to feel like and your hotel bed to feel like ooh, and room service to feel like because at Hilton, hospitality feels like
your cabana's ready. Would you like fresh towels?
it matters where you stay. Book now at Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
Gonzalez.
Yeah. And the pressure that he can take once he's playing regular minutes off of Pritchard, I think it will be really important because Pritchard's in a funk. That's a clear as day right now. He's not himself.
No, he's questioning things a little bit, it seems like right now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last night was just awful from him and Vooch off the bench. So, yeah, I'm excited. I want to see what the atmosphere is like at the Garden. It looks like Cooper Flagg is going to play too. Let's get it out there. Let's go. And then they got some tough games coming up. But at this point, the opponent doesn't matter as much as Tatum finding his rhythm. So just get him his minutes. And then when he's feeling pain, take him out. If he has to work through being tired, you keep him in there at the cost of losing some of these games. You might have to. But yeah, I'm excited to have him back. I'm excited for the Celtics to be real contenders, depending on if he's really 100%.
Yeah, I think physically he is 100%. I think basketball wise, that's going to take a little time, and that's a ramping up. That's getting your legs ready to go into an NBA game. And I think he'll, I don't know. They haven't reported how they're going to do this. So this is all, pure speculation. But I think you're just going to see a gradual uptick in minutes as we go through the rest of the month of March and into April. I think there's 22 games left. I would expect this week to be around 20 minutes. And even in these bigger games, I would expect him to hit that minute cap, and you will not see him in crunch time of the fourth quarter. Things that we're talking about that could make things easier on the offense. I wouldn't expect that this week, or maybe even next. But I think they're going to try to stretch him out and push him as much as they can, without doing anything that could incur injury because you're pushing a guy that hasn't been in an NBA game in a long time. I don't think the Achilles is really going to be an issue. I think that's healthy. I think he's physically. If he wasn't 100% feeling like Jason Tatum, I don't think he's coming back.
I think at this point you hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't lead to other injuries like a hamstring, which you see with this injury sometimes. So at some point he's got to play, and so he's playing. He's back, and we'll see what he looks like. If he is Jason Tatum, with the way these guys have played this year, you have to think they're in my mind, the favorite in the East.
Well, I think the hope would be by sometime in the playoffs, he's close to that, right? Basketball.
Yeah. So it's big news, Jim. It's big news. I think a lot of people were saying getting 20 games in would be kind of the goal here. And they got the Knicks on their tail, and they got some big games coming back. And to get that 2 seed is a big deal. You play a play-in team in that first round compared to a 6 seed, which will be a much better team. It could be a team like Charlotte. You don't want to face them in the first round. So, having Tatum back to get some of these wins and keep the Knicks at bay at 2.5, 3 games is important. You don't want to go and lose every game to Cleveland, OKC, and San Antonio. And even having him only 20 minutes, that makes you better in those games. So
Yeah,
That gives them a better
so
chance to win one of those games.
I think Charlotte's definitely a team you want to avoid in the first round after what they've been doing, and we certainly saw it up close last night. But other than that, I am not all that concerned with this seeding between 2 and 4. I really am not, especially if Tatum's coming back now. This team has shown over the last few years and this year again that being on the road does not bother them. And I think it's more important to your point that you made in the pod earlier that it's about getting him right and ready to go, even maybe more than the wins right now. So the wins would be sexy and it would be awesome to continue to pile them up and put yourself in the position of the 2 seed. But I do think you're correct that there's going to be a little bit of interruptions here,
Yeah,
is
well,
the way to
it's
put it, especially over this next week to 10 days.
it's not so much road versus home. It's you can play Miami or like Atlanta, or you can play like the Knicks or like Cleveland in the first round.
You
And
wouldn't play the
just
Knicks at Cleveland.
well, if you end up in the 4 seed, you could play Cleveland, or if you're in the 3 seed, you could play Charlotte. Uh, um, so I do think it
Yeah,
makes it.
I think, like I said, you wouldn't want to play Charlotte, but beyond that, anyone, I think 5 through 9, I'd feel pretty confident that the Celtics, unless a team like Cleveland and the Knicks really collapsed, I think if the Celtics drop to 4 or 3, I don't think Cleveland and New York are also dropping out of that picture too. I think they're probably the ones that have leapfrogged for the Celtics.
Um,
I,
yeah,
you know,
and to regards to last night, you cannot win a game against a team playing this well and have two guys who you depend on for scoring without Jason Tatum lay an egg. I mean, to have Vooch and Pritchard combined for 2 points is just pathetic. Um, it was they just played a really bad game, and Vooch certainly had more opportunities than Pritchard because Pritchard looked like James Harden in Game 7. Was like he seemed disinterested in trying to score, and obviously that center from Charlotte, both of them are guys that me and you overlooked. Clearly, we wouldn't take Cater over that starting center in Charlotte. I mean, he disrupted the Celtics rhythm right from
oh,
the
we both
start.
said on the last pod we'd take him over Kata. So we did get that
Yeah, but
cleared
I,
up
I
here.
don't think we knew how good he was
Yeah.
and
No,
how
I
yeah,
agree. I thought, yeah, I thought Vooch was bad. I thought Pritchard was bad. I thought Kata was really bad.
he was. All the centers were bad.
Yeah, I thought all the centers were bad. I thought outside of Hugo, Brown, and White, no one really else showed up to play in that game.
Mm-hmm.
It the thing that I thought was just really troubling to me is just how open the Hornets got on just simple kind of screenplays.
Yeah,
And Vucevic or Cato were down below the free throw line, and Miller and Canupo and Ball or whoever else were just taking practice shots.
yeah.
And like so that doesn't work. And
White.
they're too good of shooters. Like I can understand maybe testing that out with Kobe White and see what type of game he has. I mean, you got to give something up against a team that can shoot that well, or maybe even Bridges. But you can't do it against those 3 guys. And so it wasn't even like pick your poison. That was the thing that was so shocking to me. And how deep the drop actually was.
Yeah, it
It
was
just made
stupid.
those plays non-competitive. And the Celtics weren't getting over the screens. So I was just surprised Joe didn't make an adjustment. Maybe he wanted to see. Um, and he realized this was just a game that wasn't going somewhere. So he wanted to see something. But I thought for sure this might have been a Jordan Walsh at the 5 or something like that type game where and maybe you can still get some good Cater minutes in there. But that was the defense was really bad. And when they did force them to miss, they weren't cleaning up the glass at all. The turnovers were just putrid.
Oh,
We can talk about the misses. Like I can live with open misses, Vucevic or whomever you pick your Celtic goes 0 for 6 or 1 for 5 or 1 for 7 or whatever Hauser gave you. But most of them are good looks. It's just that shit luck or whatever. but the turnovers is just terrible. And a lot of them are live ball turnovers that led to runouts. And honestly, it's been the last two games. They did a lot of that against, not the last two, but two of the last three. They did a
against Philly.
lot of that against Philly. So that needs, that's very unlike them. And I understand we're into kind of the late part of the schedule, but it's also the part of the schedule you want to be ramping up your play with the playoffs around the corner. So they need to clean some th things up. I did not, and this is, you texted me last night. This happens. Teams have really bad games. Someone posted, Popovich said there's 8 games in the
Yeah.
NBA you can do no wrong and you win. There's 8 games in the NBA you can do no right and you lose. It's about the rest of them. And that was it last night. But what bothered me is I just didn't think they matched the energy and effort of the Hornets. I thought the Hornets kind of slapped them and punched them and kicked them and clawed them, and the Celtics just took it. And that's just not something I'm used to seeing. And that's what bothered me about the game more than not going well.
Oh, yeah. What bothered, I guess, if there's something that bothered me about the game, it's that I think the narrative about the Hornets being really good is true. And I look at the Eastern Conference and I look at them and I think of several teams that I think they could beat in a playoff series. I am all in on, like, this team is legit. They're for real. Um, and I do think, though, last night there was some of that Charlotte's really good, but the Celtics were just fucking terrible. And I think the next time these two teams play,
Oh,
I
that's going to be
guarantee,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I guarantee you it's a different result. And I have a really good feeling about the Celtics beating them.
And it's going to be in Charlotte where Tatum always seems to score 50. So maybe that'll be the game like that
Well,
Jordan game at Madison Square Garden during his comeback when he dropped 50 in 95.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. This seems like they seem like a really hard team to have a guy score 50 against. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I took away from that game, just really watching it, was this isn't like a this is real. This is a team that you have them play a 7-game series against Cleveland. I'm picking Charlotte. I fully believe in Brandon Miller. I don't know how anybody can watch that guy play and say he's still going to show me what he's got. He's going to show me what he's got in the playoffs, just like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did. But he's got the talent. He's got the attitude. That fucking dunk last night, I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I
yeah.
went from like liking Charlotte because they're a fun team to like fucking hating them because I'm scared that they're that good.
Yeah. Well, I think they're really good. I guess I'll be fully on board once they hit some adversity and I see how they do with that. Right now, they've gone 2 months of playing really, really good basketball, which is not hard to do, which is hard to do. And they've been the best in the league over the 2 months in so many statistical categories, including win and loss.
Historic.
Let's see in a playoff series when they're down 2-1, how they respond.
Yeah, that's what the
Yeah,
Celtics
I
had.
mean, that's kind of the unknown about this team right now. They've never had to face adversity, real adversity, while like playing at this level, and that's going to be coming. And I guess if they get through that, then I'm sold.
Yeah, well, and history tells us that these young teams won't handle it well. I mean, even the Celtics, they had adversity that they fought through and looked great. And then they had adversity against the Golden State Warriors where they just fucking fell apart. And it wasn't because they weren't as good as Golden State. They should have won that series. It was because they just weren't ready for the moment, right? And
And
Miami,
that was a more seasoned Celtics team with a lot
that
of
was a very
quality.
seasoned Celtics
Yeah,
team. Yeah.
this is not a seasoned team at all. So I very, very fun to watch, playing excellent basketball. I'm not going to pick them over a team like Cleveland, New York, or
I am.
Boston until
Oh,
I actually see.
Oh, I wouldn't pick them over Boston or Detroit, but every other team in the Eastern Conference right now, maybe not New York, but I could talk myself into it. I would pick this team to win that series. And I don't know if it would necessarily be close.
Well, we'll see. All right, Mike, we got a gauntlet coming for the Celtics. I don't know the order. I think it goes, I know it's Cleveland first. I think it's San Antonio after that. And then, of course, Thunder for the first time this season.
Mm-hmm.
And the Celtics, they play Dallas tonight. And this is coming off, I mean, you're going into this gauntlet too, coming off playing a ton of games over these last 2 weeks. I feel like they've been in 5-7 or 5-8, quite a bit. Um, it's going to be interesting to see for me how Joe manages this.
Yeah, he's deep enough. The team's deep enough to manage it. Like play the way you manage it is to play your guys. Let Ron Harper get some minutes. Let Gaza get some minutes. I think these guys have all shown that they can be trusted to play. And I think for me, it's the regular season. Let these guys play so you're not running guys into the ground against the best teams in the league.
Well, it's an every other day schedule between now and the Thunder game on Thursday. And then that continues out, for really a couple weeks. So you get in a day off here every other game, but you're not getting a ton of rest. There's no 2 day off schedule coming. So I wonder when and if Joe kind of incorporates that for guys like Brown or White. Pritchard
He's
looks
got
like
to.
yeah. So that's what I guess I mean more than I hear what you're saying, but I wonder how he's going to manage just his roster here a little bit, and with Tatum coming back is obviously throws an interesting wrinkle into this. I I would say under normal conditions, I would think the Celtics would have a shot to go 2-3, 1-3, 1-2. I'm sorry, 2-1 or 1-2 at worst. I'm just not so sure with the way both with the way the schedule is set up and with incorporating Tatum coming back. I think these 3 games are going to be really difficult, including this first one against Cleveland, where they're going to have 4 days off. They just did this. Like, how do you get that in the schedule? It's like they got an all-star break waiting for the Celtics on a really big Sunday game. Um, that's a really the only thing I guess you hope for is that they're rusty,
I
almost.
would just I
I
would just hit
mean,
the over on Donovan Mitchell. He's gonna fucking go bananas.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
I
I
mean,
fully I fully expect us to be thinking about this as a hard, like tough stretch, and then a bunch of these games, the other team superstars aren't going to play because this is the NBA. So let's just see who's actually on the floor. If
what is
everybody's
that? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
if everybody's playing, obviously it's a tough stretch, but I'm not picking the Celtics to go 0-3. No way. And I wouldn't find it acceptable even with all these games. This team is too good. They've shown us all year they're too good, and they need to show up in some of these moments. That's one of the things, like they're on a lot of signature wins this year. And I think they have to start having some of those
Oh,
where,
I don't agree with that. I think that maybe not against the right teams in your mind, but
yeah, absolutely
I
not
think
against the right teams. I
I
mean,
think there's been moments. I thought that Rockets game was an absolute signature win. I thought the comeback against the Heat was a signature win. I thought the game earlier in the season against the Knicks was a signature win. There's been plenty of just really high level moments. And who did they play right before the Rockets too? There was another game where, um, but anyways, no, I
yeah, but
think there's
but
been
anyways,
plenty for
they're
a team
0
that wasn't expected to be
yeah,
here. Yeah.
they're 0-1 against Minnesota. They're 0-1 against San Antonio. They're 1-2 against the Knicks. They're 1-3 against the Pistons. I mean, the list goes on
And they're
too.
2-0 against the Cavs. Like,
Yeah, but they're 0-2 against Denver. So there's more of these losses than it is even close to wins. Like it's not even debatable. Like they're like against the higher end teams, they haven't won. And I do think they have to start to win some of these games. If they were to go 0-3 here, I'd have real concerns about if I think this team can win a championship.
yeah.
I just would.
So the list stops there. I mean, against everyone else, they've won. Those are just the top teams that you listed.
Yeah, well, those are like the top teams in the league.
Yeah,
Like everybody else is like they're below that. We're talking about like Cleveland. We're
yeah.
talking about 4 seeds. We're not talking about the teams that are going to be competing for championships, and they just got blown out by another team that looks like they're, in my opinion, in that tier. Uh, So
Yeah, and the thing
yeah.
I think to your point is like the last three games against really good teams, they haven't been competitive. And that's kind of alarming. They weren't competitive last night. They weren't competitive against the Nuggets, and they weren't
I didn't
competitive
even
the
think of
last
that.
time they played the Knicks. To me, that's more alarming. Like the Spurs game,
They were
uh,
competitive.
that was a great game. It
The Pistons too.
came down to a shot. Most of the Pistons games were like that. Um, I don't remember who else is on that list. The Rockets games were one was
Minnesota.
there was both a blowout on each side. I don't remember the Minnesota game.
I don't either. I just know they lost.
Yeah, I don't even remember it. Um, and of course there's always circumstances around these games. But yeah, I agree. I'm just not, I guess I'm not with you that these next three, because they're incorporating Tatum in, it's tough to, I don't know how you measure that. I really don't, because there is like I think there is going to be some disruption here early on with getting him back into basketball shape and fitting him in, and maybe things kind of looking a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing like these good teams, these elite teams, you have 5 to 10 minutes out there of kind of awkwardness. That could be a 20 to 4 run, during that time. So I hope I'm wrong. Maybe it all just kind of works out, and you're right, and this is much more seamless. But I guess I guess Mike, to your larger point, I guess it's gonna matter how it looks with Tatum coming back. If it's seamless and they're losing, then I think this is an argument worth revisiting. If this is a little bit clunky, I don't know if these three games are ones you kind of circle as the signature win you're looking for, or the measuring stick or whatever, because I just don't know how you get it done,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But I've been wrong so many times. I'm sure I'll be wrong again. Yeah.
Well, I think we'll see a lot, these first two from Tatum. Maybe he doesn't play Sunday too. There's a good chance he doesn't after playing tonight. So we'll um we'll have to just wait and see what he looks like. Um, I wouldn't be surprised with this guy if he comes back and he looks great. I'll
I
just say
hope they're
that.
a little transparent about how they're gonna use him. If there are gonna be days off or whatever. I just hope that's kind of, I hope they talk about that. I don't think it does anyone any good to kind of have a plan out here and have fans kind of guessing about what's really happening. I think it just begs for bad media narratives. And it's also like folks that buy tickets, thinking they may get him or may not. I think it's just helpful if they're kind of transparent. I don't think there's any competitive advantage to not being transparent about how they're going to utilize him going forward into this.
Yeah, so we can end the pod with this. Obviously, OKC are the favorites.
Mhm.
With Jason Tatum back, who are the second favorites to win the NBA Finals right now?
Oh, that's
Is it San Antonio or?
I you see, I think by Vegas's odds, it's Detroit and then San Antonio. I would say it would be the Thunder or the Spurs. I would, from my perspective, those are probably the best two teams. I think, but if Tatum's back, Mike, and he is, you know, I expect 100% healthy, which he's going to be, and he looks like Jason Tatum are close to it while these playoffs roll around. And I'm not talking 80, 85%. I'm talking 90% close to Jason Tatum. Um, I think the Celtics are the team to come out of the East. I
All right,
think they,
there you go.
to me, then they become the favorite. If he's anything less than that, then it's, and then there's a lot of different variables with this team, including, maybe they even take a step back from what they were earlier in the season. But I think if he's close to who he was, um, they would become the team, right? If you look at who the best players in the East are, the Celtics would have two of the five.
Right. So
Yeah.
there you go, folks. Celtics are NBA championship contenders again. Everybody enjoy the game tomorrow night.
Well, that comes with an asterisk. I didn't say that. I think we need to see how this looks. Yeah.
Championship contenders. All right, Jim.
All right. I'll see everyone. Talk to you soon. He's back. He's back. This is great. Bye.
Back, bitch.